Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist congregation of Terre, Haute. This congregation welcomes all people, regardless of their age, religion, race, nationality, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, or anything else that has been used to divide people. We are a group of people with our own opinions, our own ideas, our own dreams. But we share ideals. We share a common belief in a liberal religion. In our discussions, we may disagree with each other, but we must always remember that what unites us is stronger than what separates us. We must always end the service aware of the love that we have for each other.
Reflect on our principles each week, and this week we're going to concentrate on our fourth principle, which is a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. As responsible religious seekers, we recognize that we are privileged to be free, to have resources to pursue life beyond mere survival, to continually search for truth and meaning, to exist beyond bonds of dogma and oppression, and to wrestle freely with truth and meaning as they evolve. This privilege calls us not to be isolated and self-centered, believing that our single perspective trumps all others, but rather to be humble, to be open to the great mysteries of truth and meaning that life offers. And those mysteries may speak to us through our own intuition and experience, but also through tradition, community, conflict, nature, and relationships. As a faith tradition, Unitarian Universalism makes sacred the right and responsibility to engage in this free and responsible quest as an act of religious devotion. Institutionally, we have left open the questions of what truth and meaning are, acknowledging that mindful people will, in every age, discover new insights. That was from the Reverend Paige Getty, the UU Congregation of Columbia, Maryland. Our opening words are on our number 434. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other.
On the road from
Our transitional words are number 438. This is morning. From the east comes the sun, bringing a new and unspoiled day.
It has already circled the earth and looked upon distant lands and faraway peoples.
It has passed over mountain ranges and the waters of the seven seas.
It has shone upon laborers in the fields, into the windows of homes and shops and factories.
It has beheld proud cities with gleaming towers,
and also the hovels of the poor.
It has been witness to both good and evil, the works of honest men and women, and the conspiracy of knaves.
It has seen marching armies, bomb-blasted villages, and the destruction that wasteth at noonday.
Now, unsullied from its tireless journey, it comes to us, messenger of the morning,
harbinger of a new day.
Well, our dear Sarah Laughlin is our speaker today, our multi-talented lady. This is a flower communion. What a wonderful world. And it's sometimes referred to as the Flower Festival, and it's something that we celebrate annually. And you are welcome, and there have been several flowers brought in by members of the congregation this morning, which we appreciate. And so I welcome Sarah to the pulpit.
Thank you, Jackie. First, I'd like to say Happy Father's Day to all those who are fathers, and also to those who have had the benefit of having a good father or a father figure in their life to be there as a support and as a guide through all this that we all do. The Unitarian Universalist Flower Communion is a tradition in many Unitarian Universalist congregations, and it was, I think it's nice to share a little bit about how it got to be started. There was, in 1923, a Unitarian minister named Dr. Norbert Chapek, who felt that the process of sharing was very important in a religious community. And this is something, 1923, and Unitarian Universalist congregations are still doing this of some type all these years later. It was a tradition there as a service to be done the last Sunday before the congregation in Prague would disband for the summer to go off because of heat or whatever things there were that our church here used to not meet. Does anyone remember when we did not meet during the summer? I guess because of the heat, we didn't have air conditioning in the other building, and we didn't meet during the summer. So this was something that was carried on for many years, and something significant happened in 1940, and that was that the Nazis took over Prague, where Dr. Chapek was a minister. And they found that his gospel was not very compatible with the philosophy, if we would call it that, that was being shared at that time. The Nazis took control of Prague in 1940, and according to records, Dr. Chapek's gospel for the inherent worth and beauty then rather than dignity, of every human person was, as the Nazi courts said, too dangerous for the Reich to allow him to live. He was taken to Dachau and died about a year later as a result of medical experiments. This gentle man, if you can imagine, such a gentle person who would have the creativity to present the concept of a flower as a communion figure, that he would have such a tragic end to his life. I once read that he would be seen in the encampment at Dachau, leading people around the encampment singing as if celebrating some wonderful event. I feel that that brings a possibility for all of us that if we're in a difficult circumstance, we don't necessarily have to be internally destroyed. For me, I think of the tragedy of the ending of his life, but the wonder that his life, I'm telling his story today, all these years later. And I think of the innocence of flowers. They are sort of what they do. They exist and they come forth, and they're innocent to everything that's around them. They're born and they exist. They represent to me like the coming forward of being and of living. We know that at some point they'll be passing, but what happens in that time is special. And that time that happens in that in-between for all of us is very special. What happens to us in the in-between? Each of these flowers started out as a little bud. They were all some type of little bud, some kind of a little knot of energy that was inside its little pod and growing and growing and growing until it couldn't be held within there any longer, and it popped open. And the individual little flower, each of these sort of opened up and little at a time and slowly sort of expanded itself and stretched until it became the flower that we see this morning. Big or small, no matter what color, what kind of flower we have here, they all sort of have that in common. I think that like these little flowers that started out in little buds, packed tightly, we've all been packed pretty tight in the last year. Our homes have been like our seed pods. They've been like our little hole that we're hiding in, and suddenly things are a little different now. We had to wear masks for a long time, and sort of like the covering of a green leaf of a seed pod, hiding our faces and hiding our expressions, muffling our words. And today, I respect Spencer for having his mask, but so many times now we find ourselves where and also Pam, it's our choice. It's a choice. And at least there's a feeling that we're coming beyond where we were months ago. When I was teaching that, I suppose, March 13th is like 9/11. Serious, it's not the same, but it's a memorable event in my life when I had students looking toward me, Miss Laughlin, is it really as bad as they say? What's going to happen? Miss Laughlin, are we really going to have a 2-week break? As if it was a fun thing that was going to be happening. We didn't know. And I felt challenged as a teacher to have students looking at me, some very fearful about what was ahead, and I didn't have answers. I didn't know. We did think we might be out for 2 weeks, and we had no idea it would last for so long. And we didn't have an idea about the losses that many of us would share. We all have our personal experiences with what we've gone through. I found a poem by Amanda Gorman that came to the nation's attention during the last inauguration with her wonderful poem that she read. And I found a poem that she wrote in the time of quarantine and a time of isolation, but yet focusing on the concept of hope. It's called The Miracle of Mourning. And that's mourning like a morning like this. I thought I'd awaken to a world in mourning. Heavy clouds crowding, a society storming. But there's something different on this golden morning. Something magical in the sunlight, wide and warming. I see a dad with a stroller taking a jog. Across the street, a bright-eyed girl chases her dog. A grandma on a porch fingers her rosary. She grins as her young neighbor brings her groceries. While we might feel small, separate, and all alone, our people have never been more closely tethered. The question isn't if we can weather this unknown, but how we will weather this unknown together. So on this meaningful morn, we mourn and we mend. Like light, we can't be broken, even when we bend. As one, we'll defeat both despair and disease. We stand with healthcare heroes and all employees, with families, libraries, waiters, schools, artists, businesses, restaurants, and hospitals hit hardest. We ignite not in the light, but in lack thereof. For it is in loss that we truly learn to love. In this chaos, we will discover clarity. In suffering, we must find solidarity. For it's our grief that gives us our gratitude, shows us how to find hope even if we lose it. So ensure that this ache wasn't endured in vain. Do not ignore the pain. Give it purpose. Use it. Read children's books. Dance alone to DJ music. Know that this distance will make our hearts grow fonder. From these waves of woes, our world will grow, emerge even stronger. We'll observe how the burdens braved by mankind and also by moments that make us humans kind. Let each morning find us courageous, brought closer, heeding the light before the fight is over. When this ends, we'll smile sweetly, finally seeing in testing times we became the best of beings. So as we hopefully are in the recovery period now, transitioning to ways that perhaps our lives might have been before, it's time to reflect on our personal power to ride through a storm and of the powers of others to help us on that ride. The pandemic may be winding down, but it's not completely down, and there may be others ahead. And though the pandemic may be winding down, there are other serious concerns that still are presenting themselves for us. There are concerns of conflicts about race, gender, identity, religion, nationalism, global warming, political divisions. All those things are still going to be there for us to have to face. And we have hopefully become closer to being the best of beings and can help each other face through these continued challenges. It's time now to think of our flower communion and the sharing of these beautiful flowers. I'm going to be asking you to each come up in turn and choose a flower different from the one that you brought, and choose it reverently and handle it with care, and have a sense about how important it is for each of us to address our world and each other with gentleness, with justice, and with love. As you take your chosen flower, take a good look at it. Notice its particular shape, its particular form, its particular colors. It's a gift to you from someone else. Someone else has brought this inside to give to you. It represents that person's humanity and therefore deserves your kindest touch. I've chosen a piece of music to play while you come up to choose your flower. Louis Armstrong's recording of What a Wonderful World. I first heard this song or paid attention to this song many, many years ago in a theater when I was watching Good Morning Vietnam. There was an image in the movie that will forever be with me. There were trucks of young soldiers being carried away to a danger zone, and they were passing by Robin Williams' character, truckload after truckload of young men, passing by on the road to hell. song so moved me, as it still moves me today, to even think of this and to hear the song. But it moved me so much that I chose it as a hymn, as a song to be sung for a church service in the other building on 6th Street. And there were so many tears when we sang it together that I promised I would never suggest that song again. But having been so locked down and so within ourselves for so long, if it should move us to have a little tear or so, and it very well may move me, I think that that's a good thing. I found some comments of Armstrong that he wrote about the positive attitude of the song. And our colleagues over here are going to play a video of this while you come up to get, we don't have to sing it, the words are on the screen, so you may sing it if you wish, but it's not required. And asked about this song, Armstrong had this to say. He said, "Some of you young folks have been saying to me, 'Hey, Pops, what do you mean, what a wonderful world? How about all them wars all over the place? You call them wonderful? And how about hunger and pollution? They ain't so wonderful either.' Well, how about you listening to old Pops for a minute? Seems to me it ain't the world that's so bad, but what we're doing to it. And all I'm saying is, see what a wonderful world it would be if only we'd give it a chance. Love, baby, love. That's the secret."
Thank you, Sarah, and you have made a part of our day, more wonderful by sharing, so thank you. If you all would please rise for our closing hymn, which is number 121.
Promised
Closing words are number 488. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow.
May the